What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So, y'all already read the title. Y'all already read it. It's the good side versus the bad side. Evil unit. It just comparison,
The
balance. The
balance.
balance. I mean, like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about blue commanders, the blue ones. We're not talking about legendaries, golds. We're not talking about purples. We're talking about what you start the game with on evil side versus good side. Y'all know we got the main ones. We got Dwalin, Faramir, Haldir, Eowyn. The other ones, Ori, the Hobbits, whatever, and then Hirgen. You know,
They don't exist.
they don't exist on the same level as any of the evil side units. Not even a remote comparison. So let's start off strong with your boy Azog. So, God, just looking at him overall, just overall, there's nothing that isn't absolutely amazing about him. I mean, damage just Dwalin has really like two strong trees, with experienced warrior and Durin's blood. Well, with Azog, you're like, well, what don't I max? Because everything just does damage.
Way do you
Everything.
want to build this guy? Because there's so many ways that you can build him. It's this level of choice doesn't even come close to some of the other commanders. Whereas some of the other, like Darwin, for instance, you're probably going to go Durin's Blood, you're going to go Experienced Warrior, and you're going to max out those two trees for maximum damage. Whereas on Azog, the Pursuer tree, the Shadow of the Mist, the Black Nemorian, these are all great trees. And then you've got Mountain Warrior that does more damage against ranged units. They're all great trees, and it's like, well, what do you want to build them for? Build him for? And there's all sorts of different setups that you can build for him, and it's that level of choice doesn't exist on good side units.
Yo, I mean, so that's just Azog guy. That's just the high damage dealer. What do we have for CC? Quite literally no one. No one on the good side does CC crowd control.
Not consistent CC, at
No,
least.
nothing even remote. Let's dive into Grandma here, who's just Sauron on steroids. Let's just Sauron, just throw him out the window, man. He's not even remotely close to a gold anymore. We were talking about Grandma here. We're talking about Grandma. Worm tongue. The enemy commander, inflict madness. Just right off the bat, no chance of it just happening. He just inflicts madness.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
that's not a percentage point in there, guys. That is 100% chance to inflict madness.
yep. So let's look at just against two enemy targets, inflicts madness. Not a chance. Just every 2 rounds against two enemy targets, inflicts madness. Defense -5 for 1 round. Feelable against enemy against enemy subject to madness. They just do increase damage. I mean, that's just nuts. I mean, it's just right off the bat. He's got such a good start, and then you go into survivor, you go into deafness, students. So he avoids damage, um, and then wizard's assistance, attacks have a 50% chance of doing poison damage. We don't have poison damage on the good side at all, unless it's Thandril. Thandril and
I think
Haldir.
Legolas does a little bit.
Legolas, Haldir, and yeah. So one goal, one commander of each
And
is
I don't think any good side commanders do burn damage. So
yes. Yeah, yeah. I don't think Gandalf does. I was thinking Gandalf for White might be the only one. Let's look at Sharku. Let's look at Sharku. I mean, this guy's nuts by himself. I mean, and this is kind of like a bragging rights of just the evil side commanders, but that's kind of what we're talking about when we're talking about balance because the way the good side's set up is it's just damage. It's not even physical because Dwalin does physical, Faramir does physical, Haldir does poison, but at the end of the day, it's mainly physical. Eowyn, physical. Even the other commanders, they're all physical damage. I don't think there's a single focus based mage. We have no mages on the good side. Like we have once you starting to get to the purple and gold, but we're not talking about the purple and gold. We're talking about the blue commanders starting off. So Arsene, just I love the synergy with the evil side commanders. It's probably the best. Like that's really what makes them so good is they got synergy and they're diversified. Physical damage. Sure, you got it. You're arsonist. You've got burn damage. You've got things that increase burn damage. You've got more synergy with poison and burn damage. And then he doesn't even maximal effect. Physical damage can even be decreased.
And then
Um,
his second tree, his R3 tree, if you do Arsonist with the Conspirator tree, he gets Trickery, which has a chance to induce madness. And he also gets Treason, which again is another ability that induces madness. So uh, he's got really good burn damage, and he's got CC.
yes.
Again, something that if we're talking about a different type of damage and CC in a skill set that is just there's nothing close to that on the good side units.
Anywhere, mind you, anywhere.
Yeah.
Whenever you start to dive into the purple commanders, you've got healing. That's just about it, though. Gandalf really doesn't even do. Gandalf just does focus damage. He's only got like one focus damage ability. Same thing with Arwen, but they just do focus damage. They don't do burn. They don't do poison. They don't do. They don't do these different effects like um, how the evil side commanders do it. You've
Hmm.
got the starting Isengard unit, for instance. Burn damage. Um, they do more burn damage. Um, Pursuer, that was on Azog. That's obviously really good. Um, and then he's also got good scaling with his other trees as well. I mean, he does have Siege, but that's not bad in some instances. So, I mean, whenever you dive into even Gorbek, for instance, Gorbek's pretty crazy of a commander himself. I didn't really think too much of him until I started diving into his other trees. So, Interrogator, um, enemies stunned or subject to madness, increased damage. Well, you can read Interrogator and just be like, well, where does it go from here? Because if you have an ability relating to madness or stun, where does it go? Oh, well, it goes to laceration, which you can cause bleeding. They increase. You suffer physical damage for 3 rounds. That's about how long it takes for the ability to come back off cooldown. Oh, and then against too many targets, you just 14%, 14.3%, then max that out. Probably be close to
And you can
70%.
in restrain. Look at how restrain synergizes with interrogator, and then you go to the last ability tree.
Yeah, it's
Um,
R5, which is not that hard to get at all.
Yeah, because again, guys, this we're talking about blue commanders. On the good side, you've got the beer, right? The beer respect item that can go to all the blue commanders. The evil side has their own respect item that they can do like that you get abundantly. I mean, IPVP already has a level 10 Faramir. So just to give you and that's in one season. So just to give you guys an idea about what is possible for these commanders, because these guys are really good. Because look at Gorbag's last tree and how it synergizes with Interrogator. You got Corrupting Curse, which has a chance to inflict madness, which goes perfectly with Interrogator.
And then
When you're
also
talking
poison
about
damage.
enemies stunned or subject to madness, it increases their damage received. And it's just
The
oh, and
synergy
the
is
other
just
thing that
crazy.
makes Gorbag extremely strong is the max level effect on his last ability, which makes orcs immune to madness. So then you have Enrage, which is part of that same tree, which he has a chance to succumb to madness. But if he's immune to madness using just orcs, he benefits strictly from a damage buff. It's really good synergy within his kit. That he's got CC, he's got damage, he's got he's got he's he's got
Yeah, he's got
he's got a
everything.
really well-rounded kit.
So, all right. I mean, who else are we gonna dive into?
Oh,
I'm
don't get me started on Khaldun.
Yeah, Khaldun's nuts. He's got experience warrior, so he's got what partially makes Dwalin really good. Then he's got Spear Dancer. Let's take a look. I mean, this guy is nuts. I am not surprised. I'm surprised we haven't seen this guy more, but we haven't faced the evil side as much, you know. And so he's got experience warrior. We've talked about that. That makes him really good. Eastling isn't bad. Eastling isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not a bad R0 compared to us having like 15 tip skills on all of our commanders. Spear Dancer. This goes off every. It's got a round one cooldown. Against one enemy target, deals physical damage, then inflicts poison damage, and then the poison effect is extended by one round. But what's really crazy is whenever you look at the last tree and you look at Marshall of the Eastmark, but let's not even look at that. Let's look at Quicksand. I mean, this ability might be some of just against two enemy targets. They take increased damage. Just right off the bat. Okay,
Just right off the
do you
bat.
see this thing? 10% chance of being stunned each round. I mean, it can stop right there. You can literally just keep that at 10%. It doesn't even matter because at this point, even that's against two enemy targets, 10% chance of being stunned. If this goes up by anything, if 10% goes up by anything, it's cheating. Tribal tactics, evil men have a chance of attacking twice. That's crazy good. That is, I just can't get over because
I don't I don't think off the top of my head there's not a single blue good side unit that has that. You only see that on the good side on units like Dandrel. I believe Gil-Galad has it as well. Um,
Haldir has it, but it's only for archers. So
yes, and so now Khaldun's is for evil men. Thandril's is for elves only. But if you're stacking just those units, it makes them really good. But just circling back to Quicksand for a quick second, because what makes it so strong is we're not talking about now the stun has a percentage chance of landing. But Quicksand is every round. Notice how this isn't round two, round three, right next to the where it says it to the skill. This is every round, and I really can't get over that. That this
yeah,
goes off every round. They take increased damage and have a percentage chance to get stunned
like
against two enemy targets. Uh, it's just a really strong side ability, and just this just goes to show if we can use Khaldun as example, we can use Shaku, Azok, Grima, Gorbag, any of these guys. Just goes to show there's CC in their kits, there's damage, there's different damage types,
yes,
and it's just something that the good side doesn't have.
yep.
We're seeing immune to madness. Now, what you probably won't see on some of these units is damage reduction, like flat damage reduction, um, based on like focus stats. That's what you see on.
A lot of good side
Well,
commanders.
you even see those more on like purple units, like on Gandalf the Grey. I don't even think there's any on now the blue side. Now that I think about it, I think well you have Eowyn, you have Boromir, I believe that does some little bit of damage reduction, but on the evil side there really isn't a whole lot. But you do see immune to certain CC effects, and going into a mixed server, that's going to be particularly useful when evil units are going up against evil units because you're going to be immune to certain CC effects like madness, and it's going to be really useful in those situations. And but yeah, just moving on to Shagrock real quick, just to even talk about just one more to talk about, because this guy also gets the tree that makes Gorbag really strong, which
Yep,
is
the Watchmen.
yeah, it's Watchman, and it makes orcs immune to madness. But look at what also is in this guy's kit. Um, we get the reckless, which is plus damage, and you might think, oh, he's got a chance to succumb to madness. The thing is that when you pair it with Watchman, he becomes immune to madness when using orcs, and that's the thing. Like if I was using Shagrock or Gorbag, you use only orcs because it's that useful that you just want to be using those units on these guys. But this guy has damage. He's got damage reduction. Um,
Bleed.
uh,
He's got even he's got open wound as well, which they cannot recover HP for 2 rounds.
he's
So
got a chance to inflict madness.
yep,
He's got yeah, open wound is a really great
Madness.
ability.
madness.
Yes, madness. He's got a chance to and he's got captor, which is he's got stun. So he's got stunness, he's got madness, he's got again, we're seeing a lot of skills that are just being utilized on a character that there's also a lot of synergy with, that you just don't see on some of these other characters. Take Merry&Pippin, for instance. You know, at an R0 level, some of these guys are better than some gold units. Like when you compare Shagrock to Merry&Pippin and an R0, and by R0 I mean respect zero, it doesn't even come close to what these guys are able to do with CC abilities, with damage. It's they're on two totally different levels, and I hate to be so one-sided about this, but some of these units are just drastically different. They have so much in their kits that make them so much stronger than a lot of the blue side units. And I'm really surprised I haven't seen more of this. Of of and maybe it's just because on some of the other servers I am seeing a higher tendency towards good side factions, and maybe going forward with especially mixed servers, we're going to see more of this where people are going to be making comments on how good certain units, certain commanders are over others.
Yep, absolutely. So let's y'all will not see it, but we're gonna swap over and look at the good side units real quick. So be back in just a second. And welcome back. We're now on the good side with the magic of editing. So let us talk about the good side balance.
Yeah,
So
just go ahead and start with Marion Poppin.
yeah, let's
Marion
just
Pippin.
kick it off strong.
Yeah, let's
Pop it.
go ahead.
Mary Poppins.
So on the bright side, we can remove a debuff from the 30 that they have on the evil side that they can inflict. We have tips, inquisitive, pikeweed, connoisseur. I mean, I just feel like whenever you look at some of these, like army speed plus ants plus 5, men and hobbits damage received. We have palantir cipher.
So, just another side little thing right here. When you're looking at Merry&Pippin and you look at Hobbit Adventure, and it says men and hobbits. Okay, hobbits, uh, hobbits are really a joke. Okay, they're a joke level 3 unit. Or
No, I
I'm
think
sorry, they're not even level
they're rank
3. I'm
1.
sorry, I misspoke. What are they? Level 1 or 2
Hold on, I'll pull them up real quick.
of
So
hobbits?
hobbit slingers, they're rank 1. They're
Rank
rank
1.
1.
Okay, guys. So they have a ability, uh, an R3 ability that pertains to hobbits. Um, if if you're running Merry&Pippin and you max that out for hobbits, um, I'm sorry about you.
Yeah.
Sorry about you.
Um,
But R5, when you look at Merry&Pippin, um,
fanaticism, wild magic.
you got a chance
It's
to
all right.
inflict madness. Inflict. Sorry, let me be clear about that. Inflict yourself with madness. We're not talking about inflicting the enemy with madness, because notice how this says on the Plantier Scryer. This commander, 25% chance of succumbing to madness for 2 rounds. 2 rounds. This ability, guys, is on a 1 round cooldown. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Merry and
you
Pippin
could
are just going crazy.
you could be in a constant state of self-inflicting madness.
And what do you, and then what are you doing? You're gonna start casting magic on your own units, and then with all this madness, um, y-
Yeah, I think that's enough on Marion.
let's go over to Ori. Let's just
Yeah,
check it. That my boy.
let's
Check out
follow
Ori.
Marion Pippin up with Ori.
Oh, Mary
We got
Poppins,
musician.
popping.
We literally have exactly what Merry and Pippin have in the 2 healing things. Clark, not even worth talking about. They got Durin's Blood, and they got Warrior of the Lonely Mountain. Um, Musician's good only for removing a debuff. That's the main thing with this. It's not based off of focus, so that makes it not as worthwhile. Relief, it's modified by the focus stat. So Clerk has
Yeah.
some use, but clear-headed and inquisitive. Why is that there? Durin's
Tips. The
Blood.
tips. Just to talk about the tip skills, guys. Um, these are These are really problematic, just to be clear, because tips also grant experience. I'm not going to be sending my random units that aren't leveled up to go complete my tips whenever I'm playing in the game. And I'm especially when we start over next season and we start the leveling our commanders. Whenever I burn my main commander that I'm leveling, when I burn that commander's energy and he's going to be sitting for a while, you send him out on a tip, guys. You want to keep those tips around for whenever your main commander is resting, or whenever you're leveling a second or a third main army. You don't want to be sending out these guys that aren't going to be one of your main armies, or even a pather. You might send them out for a good pather, but like Ori's not even in my top like 10 that I'm going to be using. There's no reason to be maxing these abilities out. And this is why tip skills, which you'll see an abundance of on good side units versus evil side, that make these trees very, you're just not
Unappealing.
going to want to invest these long term into the game. That's why there's a huge imbalance just when you're talking about the tip skills.
Yes.
So,
So that's just
huge problem.
everything that like Clerk is the main difference between him and Dwalin. But Dwalin's R0 is really solid. Like you have, and then not to mention too, you start airable with him, so the chance of you getting up to Durin's blood is very quick. So you have Experienced Warrior, then you get Durin's blood, and then kind of like how we saw in the video with the advanced guide, um, level headed's really useful for that. So there's no reason to ever get Ori over Dwalin. There, zero reason. So Haldir, let's finally dive into someone good. So March Warden of Lauren, um, against one enemy target every 2 rounds, deals 16% physical damage. 16%. That is almost nothing. That's not even worth waking out of bed for. Um, and that goes off every 2 round. This should honestly be a 1 round ability. Um, Call of the Week, this is a good ability. Just flat damage. Elite, might plus 1%, focus plus 1%. And then also just to tap in, max level of Fate is plus 15 focus. He doesn't even use focus. Why is this there? Kind of. Guide, Armed Escort, this is where the focus finally comes in. You recover a little bit of units here. That's fine. Foresight, good. This was this should kind of be might. Sylvan Elf is finally where we start to get some good stuff. Finally you do additional damage as well as poison damage, and the poison damage lasts for 2 rounds. Beast training, only useful if you have eagles. Force agility, finally we got some good stuff. Force agility, you have a increased stance, but even looking at this, even just looking at it, 2.9. The other one had a 3.4, right? The evil men. Whenever we were talking about Khaldun, it was a 3.4% chance of attacking twice. This is only archers, and you always have a front line. So the only way that this works max efficiently is with Rangers of the North, guarding for 3 archers technically.
Mm-hmm.
So Gladrium allied range units, they do more damage. Shield training, no CC, none. We haven't even have we even touched the CC ability yet?
No,
So,
we're
well, we got
also
Palantir's
we've
Cipher, right? That was it, right? No, that was
that's
actually
self
no, that was only for
inflicting
himself. That was
madness.
only for himself. Never
That's
mind.
a negative
That's a negative.
CC
That's a
effect.
negative. Right, so we've only covered damage abilities. That is it. We have
And
one
we're
commander
halfway
that
through
has
the good
touched
side
poison.
commanders.
We have one commander that touched poison. Eowyn here. We're talking about a good commander here. So really gets that. Everyone knows Eowyn. I won't really comment too much about her. She's got a great kit. She's a incredible commander. Um Works well with cavalry, you know, does a whole bunch of stuff. Even if you didn't use cavalry, you could still make her work with the R0 shield maiden and the R3 Denhorn. But whenever you pair her with cavalry, she becomes exceptional.
Yeah,
So
Eowyn's really good.
Aelin's really good. She does a lot of damage though. She does a lot of damage. So looking back at her, she has damage. Pretty much. She has damage. She has damage reduction. She has increased damage dealt. She sort of cripples. He has giant slams, which is all right. White Lady of Rohan is really good. It's a lot like the Elrond leaders from Emmer. Round 3. Frontline Rescue is okay, but it's only for 1 round. On round 3, you recover HP. Nobility is good. Even looking at her, she. Okay, so let's dive into Boromir. Gosh, this is depressing sometimes. Disarm. So, um, deals less physical damage. That's against one enemy target too, I mind you. Some of the other abilities. I think most evil side had like against 2 enemy targets. Like most abilities were against 2 enemy targets. So he finally has one here. Goes off every round. Increases damage caused by the skill and prioritizes. Got hair. Oh my gosh. It's just more damage, guys. And that's a little bit of what we're bringing the point to is...
And it's just physical.
It's just physical
just
damage.
to be clear, we're talking about just physical. We only had one commander so far, and that was Haldir, that does poison damage. Just keep everything in perspective. And still, we are now more than halfway done with good commanders. Have not seen a single CC effect yet.
Yeah.
Merry&Pippin does not count.
Yeah,
that's self-inflicted CC.
So they're negative. So we're at -1 right now of effects.
Yeah.
Hirgen does something, right? Hirgen does something.
Oh, he's got a Herald. He's got a gold ability that reduces time to complete tips.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, that's a great ability.
I max that.
Yeah, I mean, what I do is I start the game and immediately max that.
Yeah, I'll be tripping on my 5-minute completion times for those hour-long tips.
Yeah, and then like that, next thing you know is you get one of those instant complete tip things, and you're like, what's the point? What's the point?
I got like 20 of them now.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Yeah, he's just all over the place. He does no CC, no nothing. Why go with Hirgen whenever everyone else does physical damage?
He makes for a good siege commander, but that's about it.
Yes, yeah, but
that's it.
Then Faramir, he just does damage. Again, he just does damage. He does a lot of it, yes. He does a lot of it. And he has some additional effects like hair and nobility shirt. I'm just losing my mind really talking about this. But that's it though. We talked about everyone right there. There was, correct me if I'm wrong, there was no stun in any commander.
No madness.
No madness.
Now I will say this: there is a what is the ability? We have a disarm, don't we?
We have disarm, yeah.
What is the actual function of disarm?
I'm sorry, I'm giving too much credit to Boromir. It deals physical damage, and the target's next attack deals much less physical damage.
Well, good luck against all the flame.
I'm sorry, because guys, I was thinking that it was like they couldn't do a physical attack, but no, that's not even the case. Because remember, guys, who the evil commandos are, especially if you're in an RP server, where you have a Boromir and you're going up against evil side units.
Most of them do.
Yeah,
most of them
they
don't
have
even
poison
do that
damage.
much.
They have focus damage. They have burn damage.
Poison.
And here's the other thing too to think about, guys, because now that we've gone through everybody, think about the level of synergy that existed on the evil side versus the good side. I think one of the only arguments that you could really make for the amount of synergy. Now, don't get me wrong. There's physical damage, right? And like Dawn, for instance, he's got physical damage.
Out the walls.
But where's the synergy, though? Where's the synergy that works within the trees? Take Shaku, for example, on the evil side, where you had fire damage, and then you had another tree that increases the fire damage, right? And has CC even on top of that. You can make a case for from Erwin.
She's Eowyn and
Eowyn,
yeah.
Because there's so much synergy with her kit that works for mounted units that it does work. But when you take Gorbag, right, who has self-inflicted madness, but gains immuneness to madness, that gains immunity to madness, and then has a lot of synergy there. and then you take Shagrock, who self-inflicts madness, gets immunity to madness, um, and is able to do some extra damage based on those. You have a level of synergy that just doesn't exist on the good side versus the bad side units. I see a real imbalance there when it comes to synergy.
And I feel like this really affects the free to play thing of this game is that like if I was completely free to play and I was coming into this game right now, I would 100% start evil side. I would not even touch good side. You have Dwalin, sure. You have Eowyn, sure. You have Faramir, sure. Haldir and Boromir. You have a chance of getting Merry&Pippin, Hirgen, and Ori. So that's 3 commanders that you wouldn't even want to touch with a 10-foot pole. And then the other 5 are good, but they all do the same thing. They all essentially do the same thing. None of them are direct healers. None of them are control commanders. And whenever we mention damage versus control, for instance, like control is heavy CC, heavy crowd control. I would say like a good half of the evil side were split. They were half crowd control, and the other half was damage. I don't see any of that on the blue side commanders. I don't see any of that. It's just damage and then some healing. And we don't have things like open wound. We don't have things like it's just so.
Now, I do think it's worth noting that I do think that NetEase was going for lore-based abilities
Yes.
of certain commanders. So that's why you see madness, inflicting madness. Like take Grima, for example, who inflicts a ton of madness. I do think it's worth noting that they tried to keep that to evil side. That's not to say that good side can't have their own set of abilities that make them unique, that make
Yes.
them good, that make them being able to do maybe not madness, but maybe they have more stuns in their kit. And to be honest, there's nothing like that on the good side, and that's where the good side really falls short. If we were comparing tier lists, side by side tier lists, we would have an S through F, right? Kind of like how we did on our good side tier list. We would have that tier list for the good side, and then you would really have to take the evil side and bump them because their S is
Far
an
differentiating
evil
from the good
side
side S.
A. An evil side A is like our
Faramir
our
level.
S level.
Yeah, it's
That's really the imbalance that I'm seeing here is when we really compare these side by side.
yep. I'm gonna dread next season whenever we go up against people who have these high respect level units on the
Evil
evil side.
commanders.
Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough going against all these because we haven't faced madness. We haven't faced any of it, and our equipment was mainly damage based this season. Well, next season we're gonna have to change around our equipment setups completely going against what we had maxed.
Mhm.
Like me, I was maxing a lot of stat stick stuff. Well, now I'm gonna have to focus all of my energy on getting madness equipment, or like I know we've been talking a lot about the Elven Cloak, but that's beside the point. That's a whole other video. But just that's mainly what we want to talk about, guys. Was just the balanced discussion between the good and bad commanders, and we'll see. The purples are actually fairly balanced in my fair opinion. I think purples they're fine. The purples I think are fairly balanced. I think there's a good diversification of healing, good control commanders, stunning. Purple commanders are good where they're at. I don't have any problems with them. I do think the blue commanders and the gold commanders are
The gold commanders.
yeah. That's a whole other video.
That's a whole nother video.
We'll dive into that some other time.
Yeah.
But what we really wanted to bring attention to is the blue side imbalance because man, I would trade some of our golds for some of the blue side commanders.
Yeah,
I'm being dead honest when I say that.
I drew a Thandril, guys. I would trade a Thandril for one of the evil ones.
Just trade for Grima. Just trade for Grima.
Grima would be great.
I would literally take
Grima would be great. Shagrock would be great. Gorbag would be great.
Yes.
Any one of those I would take over a Thandril. I'm sorry. It's just it's the way
Hate
it
to hurt
is.
the Thandril fans out there. We hate to say it, but
Yeah, you guys know I've been a big critic of Thandril. I think he's in need of a major buff to be in the gold category. Um, but yeah, some of these guys that we're seeing on blue commanders, that's really who we did a deep dive on in this video. Um, some of these guys are better than Thandril. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. They are better than Thandril.
Yep.
So.
All right, guys. Well, that's gonna wrap us up here. At this balanced discussion of the blue commanders. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you'd like to see more down in the comments. Just a heads up, I will be streaming right whenever the server launches. We will be doing mixed on season server 39 special. So,
And we're going Rohan.
We're going Rohan, and what we're going to be doing is the way it's going to work is we're going to merge with other servers that are very similar. So 40, 38, close around there. If you're around that and you want to join us and be a part of some of the videos, absolutely. Come and join us there, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Without further ado, this is IPP, my kids, IRL.
This is Sir Tribulus.
This is Creepin' Raging Z.
We'll see y'all in the next one.
Peace.